Peace, family. How y'all doing? Welcome back to Vocal Dialect Podcast. We have a special guest with us tonight. I'm Knowledge Born 7. We have my brother Gerald Moore, brother Tashaka Sankofa. We have Sister Tia from the Urban Reads Bookstore. How you doing today, sister?
Amazing. And you?
Doing pretty good, taking it easy. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from.
I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. And I live in Baltimore. I'm the owner of State versus Us magazine and Urban Reads Bookstore in Baltimore. Want to know more?
Okay, so you
Plenty
have the
more.
book. So let me ask you this. So you have the bookstore. In this day and time, how is a bookstore?
How is it, or
Yeah.
how is my bookstore?
How is your bookstore? How's it going?
My bookstore is doing well. It's amazing. Um, I founded my bookstore 5 years ago, a little over 5 years, December 2019. So I survived COVID.
Okay.
Um, and I found it because no one would give my magazine a place to be on their shelves. So I said, I'm gonna open up a bookstore so I could put my own magazine on my shelf. And I wanted to put prison authors on and local authors. So that's what I did. But it spearheaded into something way different than what I thought. I didn't know a magazine owner, but I did it. I didn't know about bookstores, but I opened it. So I'm a creative person, and I get what I want and I do what I want. And that's how this panned out to be. So I'm super on the literacy side. I understand that many of our incarcerated brothers and sisters are incarcerated due to illiteracy. So I drive literacy into our youth real heavy. Prison illiteracy is at 76%. So I donate books to the prison, and I'm trying to get that 76 down to 75. And America is on the seventh to ninth grade reading level, but Black America is on the third and fourth. So I'm
Mm,
trying to get us up to fourth to fifth, and then fifth to sixth. So it's not hard, but these peckerwoods make it hard.
right. I
They
Mm.
try to
often
make it hard.
when I often speak, I tell people the average man only knows about 300 words. We're supposed to know about 3,000 words.
It's
A lot of
46 million. It's 46 million people in the world who are illiterate and reading below sixth grade level.
mm,
And that's a real time stat.
Mm.
So no wonder we got the world looking the way it look, because they dumb. No one wants to educate themselves. No one wants to research. No one wants to read. And they got a free phone with that free app called Google. And they refuse to get on it.
I tell people that all the time. We walk around with smartphones and don't even use them. We use
Mm-hmm.
smartphone for entertainment purposes only when we was definitely supposed to be using smartphones for education.
I had an employee with the Youth Works program through Baltimore City. This little girl called out of work for a week because her ride had an accident. So I said, "Well, what the hell happened to the bus?" She said, "I don't know how to catch the bus."
Mm.
I said, "Little girl, you called me for everything else. You mean to tell me you couldn't pick up the phone and ask me about how to catch a bus to work for your money? Or you didn't know how to get on Google to ask Google to tell you how to catch the bus? You
Mm,
get on it for everything else?" And she just got silent, as if I was talking to the wall. These children are being raised on phones inappropriately, and their parents are letting them. Their parents are not smart. Their parents need reading courses. Their
mm,
parents need lessons and learning. And so when we have that, it's driving our kids in the gutter. because these parents are illiterate. Their parents were illiterate, and their parents were illiterate. No one wants to pick up a book. No one wants to read, and no one don't have any common sense. And it drives me insane.
So I see you big on statistics. How did you find your research as far as the literacy statistics?
You said how?
Yeah.
Google.
Okay.
She
Not
kept
that famous Google.
speaking about Google. So let me ask you this, Tia.
Yes.
I heard you one of your speeches when I first encountered a speech that someone had put you on Facebook. I think it was Mama Earth. And we thank God for that sister, such a goddess.
Yes. Shout out to Mama Earth.
Yeah, that's right. She had you on there and you were talking to a crowd, and I didn't know exactly where you were at in Baltimore. I did reside in Baltimore for 4 years before I came back down here to this area. But I'm originally from Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Where were you speaking at when you were talking to the crowd?
Was this on Saturday?
No, this was prior to that.
So I've been speaking. I've been doing a lot of speaking engagements, talking to these white people, letting them know this is their problem and they gotta fix it.
Yeah, that's the one that you were talking about.
So I've been saying that all over. So I've been speaking at rallies. It was a hands-off rally in Baltimore. I spoke into a crowd of 6,500 people, and that was at City Hall. Then I spoke at another rally. I've been talking, so I don't know which one you're talking about.
Okay,
I've been at it.
Okay, for that matter, expound a little bit on where you saying that you blame you saying that that's the white people's problem of why our people are so illiterate. Can you?
Yes, this is their problem.
About that.
This is their issue, right? This is their ancestors created this problem.
Okay.
And they are carrying it on generation after generation. Now, I told them, I said, now we can support you, but y'all definitely gonna speak up. We need your resources. We need your privilege. We need your voices. We need your money. And we need to get this thing popping. But we need y'all as an ally with your money and your resources and your voices, because people only listen to white people. If we go out there and do this by ourselves, it won't get done. So we need some white people to infiltrate to get this done.
Okay. That's right. I agree with you. I just
we need that.
We needed our listeners to actually hear that. Some of the ones that's on the line and the people that's going to come in eventually, they need to hear about illiteracy that's going across the country for our people. Because generally, we are the ones that are in that not fundamentally sound about a lot of things, especially when it comes to reading. Because I encounter people and I'm always hearing this, I'm out of school. I don't have to read anymore. And I'm going, what?
It's goofy.
It is.
It's so goofy. And I be looking at people like when I like in my store one time, I had 2 situations in my 5 years of owning a bookstore where I had parents tell their children, don't pick that book up. And I gotta interrupt them, like, hold on, miss, what are you doing? I don't want them picking up a book, but you'll let them go in the game store and pick up a game.
That's right.
You'll let them go in the sneaker store and pick up sneakers. You'll let them go in Toys R Us and pick up a toy. Let that baby pick up a book. And stop being so impressed with picking it out for him. Let that baby pick out his own book. And they be looking at me. And I tell them, if you allow that child to pick up that book, like you let them pick up that game, you know what he does with that game? He keep playing it and playing it and playing it. Let them pick up that book because that's the book they chose. And that's the book they're going to go keep reading. Stop trying to dumb your child down because you dumb. This is not a game. This is not a drill. We are in real time. And people need to understand that. So as much as I can, I get loud and I get proud and I speak it from wherever I can speak it from. Stop
That's
playing
right.
with these babies, yo. Stop playing with these kids. You may not care about you. So let us care about these kids. Let us
Right.
care about your children because they
That's
our
right.
babies too. Like how our legacy going to live on if you dumbing your child down? You want to just a bunch of dumb children running around here running the world? And that's why we got Donald Trump. Because he loved illiterate people. Because he illiterate. His IQ is low.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why we have the situation we have. This country, they didn't want a black woman. Because he knew, this country knew that black woman going to clean up. So we get another white man in office who has been running this country for over 400, 500 years. And shit is getting dumber and dumber and dumber. Ain't shit getting better. Because black people is allowing it too. Black people don't even understand their power. They don't even understand that we are the buying power. We make everything cool. We make everything fresh. We make everything fly.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't even
We are the
understand it.
culture.
We are the culture. Black people created everything. And that
There you
book
go.
is in my store. Black people created everything. Black people invented everything. They hate us so bad, but they looking at us at the traffic light. They using the internet, which we created.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. We created everything. And people don't use no logic, no common sense to put A plus B to equal C to do nothing. And it be blowing me.
Mm.
And I would just be looking at people when they ask me dumb questions. There is a such thing as a dumb question. Don't ask me nothing stupid because I'm gonna let you know it's stupid.
We are the algorithm as well, too.
Yes, we are. We everything. And they know it. They know it. They jealous.
Mm-hmm.
They jealous of how we maneuver, how we create, how we win, how we so resilient, and how we put up the resistance against them every single time. And they trying to figure out why the fuck we still here.
Yeah.
They wrinkled
We
up.
should have been
They
exterminated,
get
huh?
wrinkled trying to keep up with us. And we sitting here looking like this.
All day long, fresh. You know what I mean? Fresh,
That's
baby.
right. That's right.
They can't handle it, baby.
They can't handle it. They can't handle this smoke that we push out. They can't handle it.
That's one thing I can say for us being the manifestors and creators, and we've been doing this thing since the beginning of time, all the way from ancient Kemet. You know, I encourage people all the time to read. You know, that's how I got my name, knowledge from read. I don't have no house. I don't have. I barely passed high school. I don't have no college degree, anything like that. But I took my time and I started reading words. I started writing down words on cards, the little square cards. So I memorizing, start writing words on post-it notes. Then I start, get into the legal aspects of things and start messing around some court cases. I learned how to, write my own affidavit, stuff like that. Everything comes with reading. When I first started reading, did I comprehend? No, I just kept reading, and I read it over and over again. I read it over and over again
That's how
until
you
it clicked in
learn.
my brain. And then once it clicked in my brain, this is where I am now. We have to encourage the young people to read. I used to charge people for books. I stopped that because someone passed information to me. So that's why I stopped charging. And you can ask these brothers on the show. If somebody asks me for a book, I email it to them. I send it to them.
Yeah.
I have over terabyte information.
PDF filed it to you.
Books dealing with all different things that we should know. If not, I have something that would definitely, you know what I'm saying, pique your interest. And people call me all the time and be like, yo, man, can you email me a book? I say, sure. You know, I got digital, I got books, I got physical books that cost like $500-$600, you know, expensive books. Then I got digital books, they still cost, you know what I'm saying, $100 and stuff like that. I email them to people, you know. But if we don't read, we're in the world of trouble, because one thing about us as a people, they get us with words. I learned that with commerce. They get us with words. They beat you down. And once I start dealing with courts, the judge sits on the bench. Bench in Latin means bank. So when you go into the courtroom, it's a different agenda. Then I started learning, like, these is not laws of the land. These are laws of the water. Admiralty Maritime Equity Law. After that, I was out. I didn't. Could nobody tell me nothing. It was a wrap.
Remember Encyclopedia
If you couldn't
Britannica?
prove it, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mother used to make
Always.
us read those.
Yeah.
Because my great grandmother had to drop out of school in the 4th grade so she can work.
Mm-hmm.
So my mother took this educational thing to the highest extent of the freaking law. Like, she's a serial educator. She got like 1,000 degrees. And my mother used to make us read the Encyclopedia Britannica and Thesauruses. I didn't have to read books. I read those books. Big words. And we had to do book reports.
Yeah.
With what we read.
Yeah.
So, and it just goes back to prison. Like Freeway Rick Ross, that's my brother. Freeway Rick Ross was a tennis star. He went to school with a scholarship. But because he was illiterate, they sent him out. So imagine if them crackers would have educated and tutored him while he go be a tennis star. We'd be knowing him for a tennis star instead of knowing him for what we know of him now. And that's when the war on drugs started with him. And when he went to prison, he ended up teaching himself how to read. And that's when he saw the loophole in his case and got himself out.
Yeah.
And that goes along with the cases in my magazine. About time, say you go to prison at 17, 18. You're going to act out if you got a life sentence. You're going to act out for the first 10 years. There ain't no doubt about it. Then you get hooked up with an old head. And he finally talking to you. So now you calm it down. Now you're learning how to read. So now you on year 10 to 15, learning how to read. Then on year 15, you done discovered that you're wrongfully convicted. You knew all along that you were wrongfully convicted, but you didn't have the voice. You didn't have the wordplay. You didn't have the knowledge to speak to your case, to defend yourself. And that $100,000 lawyer or public defender knew it. So now they created ineffective counsel along with prosecutorial misconduct because that fool know it too. See, it ain't about the correct body in prison. It's about a body in prison. So then now you want 15 to 20 and then 20 to 25. Now you looking for me because my magazine speaks to wrongful convictions. I help 9 men come home. My 10th person just called me. He got sentenced at 15, 303 years in Virginia. All suspended but 47. And he wrote me. I don't even remember. But he does. I wrote a serious letter to the governor. And he got a pardon. And now he's coming home next year in November. And it's all due to illiteracy. So it's very important that we push this and getting people to read in prison. When I send these books into prison, I tell these dudes, yo, teach somebody how to read, yo. With this book. Like it's crazy the amount of people that's locked up due to illiteracy. I can't believe it. And they act like it because you got some of them fools cheering for Trump.
Mm.
And I be like, what? How? He looking to keep you here. Now he talking about bringing Alcatraz back.
Mm.
Like, how dumb can you be in real time? So it's very important to me that I'm gonna die getting this popping. I don't care. It's important. These if I'm gonna die trying to get these babies to have a book in their hand. And I tell these children all the time, just 20 minutes a day. If you could be on that phone for hours, you could pick up a book for 20 minutes a day.
Yep. I started at 15, but yeah, that's good.
That's it. My mother used to make us read for 20 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm. That's what's up.
Keep going.
You know, when you were talking about the actual reading, it took me back when I was a child. I used to always love to go to the library. That was second. That was first before sports. But then I used to go to the library. It's not a Dr. Seuss book. It's not a Curious George book. It's not a Horton the Elephant. It was the Five Chinese Brothers. I still remember them books. And I was encouraged to read because I had a mother. She wasn't educated or anything. But if you listen to this woman talking, she didn't go to she graduated from with a GED. I went on to college though. But in the same token, if you listen to her, she was so comfortable with using her words, her dialect. I mean, phenomenal when she talked. And it's at times people, when I talk to people about certain things, they would always try to correct you on what you're saying or whatever have you. I had a mother that sat there and told some people one time in front of me, said, I told them a word, I said, prognosticator. Like you said, we was taught to read. I said, you know, everybody always trying to be a prognosticator. They said, there go Gerald making up words again. It come on to the rescue. She said, you know what a prognosticator means? It means someone trying to predict the future. And I got up from the table and left them. I was like, okay, man, no sense in talking to y'all. But I was encouraged to read. I encourage my kids to read, and they'll tell you that TV watching all the time. Oh no, turn that off. Pick up a
That's
book,
it.
read. Go to the library. I got a son to this day. We don't argue about that. Go to the library. Go get a book. And I also had them to write me something about or any sort of summary or summation of what they read. Because if you don't write that, that means you ain't read. So we wasn't gonna be scatterbrained around in my house. Nah, we couldn't
That's
do
right.
that. Yeah,
That's
they gonna be able to comprehend. So when it come that time to being able to convey a thought, I want it not to be abstract, but be concrete.
And that's what I taught my son because I'm not a college graduate, right? I'm just super smart.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell him, like, yo, we can be whatever the hell we want.
You're
You just
absolutely
gotta go
correct.
get it. We can do whatever we want to do. We just gotta go get it. And my son was a football star, like diehard football star. And I guess it's a blessing for me because he ended up getting an ACL injury and then COVID
Mm-hmm.
came. So, and he was a junior in high school. So by the time he got to the senior year, he had no film because it was COVID and they didn't play. So he ended up going to a HBCU in North Carolina. And I always taught my son went to all the #1 public schools in Baltimore City.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play. When they try to send him at Hammer one for middle school, oh, if you think my child going to Hammer one, no way. I went down North Avenue and I got that changed to Leaf Walk. the #1 middle school in Baltimore City. When the coach at Dunbar wanted him so bad, my son's first choice was Poly, and Dunbar was actually third. He had a connection in Baltimore City, and they sent my son a Dunbar acceptance letter. I said, he can play, I can play. And I went to Poly and got him changed into Poly. Because what we're not going to do is play with this education.
Mm-hmm.
My son went to Poly, which ranks top 20 in the nation, and #1 for STEM. You're not going to dumb my child down, sending him to Dunbar, where they smoke weed in the hallways. I don't care if they are top 3. That's what they're doing. And I'm very aware, and I'm very active. We're not sending him down there. So he went to a HBCU, and he said, Ma, I taught my son it was God first, school second, and women 3rd or 4th. Hell, they could be 10th. I said, one thing you're going to do is learn, and you're going to read. So my son did a 4-year program with John Hopkins writing school. His writings ended up at the billboard at Penn Station. So this is not a game. Parents got to get involved in their babies, man. They got to. You know how much you can bring out of a child when someone's involved with them? Their creativity come up. They glow. They want to do more. They want to be more. They want to be better when you invest time into them. Now my son about to graduate first generation Saturday from college. It's all about who you align your children with. And my village, and with myself, when I went to jail, I said, Lord, you get me out of this. I promise I'll drop my flag. I won't sell another brick or another pill. He got me out of it, and I came home and did just that. I didn't break my promise. That's why I'm still here. Next week it'll be 18 years since I came home. So I beat 70 years in prison to do right. And you think I'm gonna be out here acting or not? No, sir. I knew I had to raise this child, and I knew I had to build with him, and I knew I needed men around him because I did a good job, but half of this shit when it got completed without solid men. And that's who I surrounded my son with. Solid men. And they all coming with me to this graduation Saturday because that's who helped me raise him. That's the village.
I do have a question for you. How do you choose the books to put in your bookstore?
The people.
Okay.
But I get a catalog. And y'all know Everyone's Place?
Yeah. North Avenue.
Yeah. So they got a distribution building. And I walk in there, it's like a ray of sunshine. And I just be picking books. I be like, yo, if I buy every book in here, it's gonna be like $1 million.
That's right. Shout out to brother Nati.
Yes, not Bobby Nati. Boy, Baba. I love him. I love them. But I definitely be curating all representation books. Every book in my store has a representation of Black people. Now, if it's a white author in my store, it's because Black people need to read it, like 48 Laws of Power. Anything Robert Greene. You know what I'm saying? That was the only book. You can't get, I'm not going to put a white novel in my store. I'm not going to do it. That's not what we need to be reading. My book is the banned book bookstore. I housed a lot of banned books in my store. That's my message. That's where I'm going. And that's what I'm pushing. Black authors, local authors, prison authors, banned books, and let's go with this history.
Yeah,
And it works.
you got a lot of good books in it. A lot of good books in that store.
Mm.
That's what I'm pushing. And I don't have time to be dealing with people who try to tell me what to carry. Because I'll check you on site. This is my selection. If you don't like it, Barnes and Noble's around the corner.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, you got us. I still believe in us promoting us because I tell people the Europeans were so obsessed with our culture. They made a whole ology behind us. That's Egyptology. Because that's not an actual um, something that comes from us, but that's something that they created so they can try to understand, and overstand us, which is
Right.
easy. So yeah, I tell people, hey, start reading. Start with words. You know, something's gonna pique your interest, and go from there. Expand your imagination and your understanding, because if you don't feed your mind, then they got the media, they got music, and they also have things in the community that's going to feed your mind, that's going to actually connect to your lower chakras. It's going to hit that vibration, and once it hit the lower chakras, it goes up to your pituitary gland. They got you. Then it's going to take, you being dedicated and committed to get out of that particular bad space that you're in. Because as a people, as a whole, we are in a bad space. You
Yes,
know.
yes, yes. And when I meet men, I be like, yo, I can't deal with you. Go hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't deal with a chick like me, a female like me, and you're not healed. If you think I'm gonna be arguing with you all the time, or at all, if you think I'm gonna be going back and forth with you, if you think I'm gonna be chasing you, if you think I'm going to be trying to figure out what you're doing, where you are, and all of that kind of stuff, if you think I'm gonna be sitting at home waiting to find a way to figure out to trust you and all that, go hell. Go deal with those mommy issues. Because a lot of these men have mommy issues. And they refuse to heal because they dealing with them not healing with their mama or their daddy. And I be telling these parents, you raising these children, and the streets either gonna raise them through death, or they're gonna raise them through the prison.
That's right.
Then they ain't gonna have no choice but to pick up a book. And if that's the route you want to go to ensure your child got knowledge is power, then go ahead. If you want your child to be a prison statistic, go ahead. But I'm here to tell you, I don't need a man of that caliber. I need a man with some power, some knowledge, some healing, and influential in these streets whose power is going to heal others. And I be like, yo, what's wrong with us? This Willie Lynch syndrome that's going around with us. I'm so mad we in 2025 dealing with this shit. Every now and then I put on my post, are you tired yet? With something that had happened to somebody black, or some law this fool that implemented to take away from us. Some history he done pulled from the museum to tell everybody this shit didn't exist. Are you tired yet? But it's not clicking. I'm dealing with this racial issue. 14-year friendships gone down the drain because Those guys are scared, and I go harder with this shit than they do. They're not even around. I got this white man coming to protect me before this black man that I've been knowing for 15 years.
Mm.
Because you scared? You a man? And you scared? You scared to face some white person who's running tyrant in your hood? So we just got a lot of, and I got patience. But whew, it's a lot, man.
That's we're dealing with the residue and the after effects from this Willie Lynch syndrome, whereas we are dealing and we are deeply entrenched in self-hatred, and with that self-hatred, you have a fear. We've been trained to fear our oppressors. And so this is why, these males, I'm not going to call them men because I only know a few solid brothers. I only know a few of them. And that's why, we've had to vet and had to get rid of so many males and females too, based on the fact that they weren't willing to tap into their unresolved issues. And, just like a lot of these organizations, everybody want to get suited and booted. And what makes them so ineffective, because false leadership that just want to looking at numbers and looking at the amount of people instead of looking at the quality of the people. So you have a lot of people 10 toes down, boots on the ground, but they are traumatized from the boots to their head. And so this is what causes dissension. This is what causes so much havoc in these so-called movements and organizations. But our brothers on the whole have been so docile within the last 10 years, specifically the last 10 years, they've become so docile and have this mama's boy syndrome where they think the world is going to treat them like their mothers. And so, they go from they get cut from one umbilical cord, and then they try to grasp onto another umbilical cord, which is the black woman. And that causes so much strife within that relationship. And then this is why you have these men killing these sisters, because a lot of these sisters are standing 10 toes down. And I really hate to say it, but these sisters are more tougher than most of these men. I'm not gonna say, man, let me take that back. Because like I said, I only know a few men, but I'm talking about males. There are only a few. But I done ran into a lot of solid queens that are solid, that are committed. And it seems like that a male, not a man, only a male gets intimidated by a woman's strength and her power. Only a male, only a male challenges a woman's energy and spirit instead of enhancing that spirit, because a lot of, our sisters can uplift us as well, and it's okay to be vulnerable in certain areas and to be humble enough to ask for that enlightenment and that uplifting and that spiritual and emotional embracement from our sisters. And so this is where this false pride and all this bullshit comes in. And then it is it's enhanced with these movies. I can do bad by myself and all of this hood bullshit, that glorifies, whooping queens and disrespecting each other and killing and drug dealing. And I always say on my show that we have to start holding the puppet masters accountable. You know, we always want to look at the end result, but we need to get to the source. You know,
Right.
nobody's talking about dealing with Jimmy Iovine, Ted Field, Clive Davis, Rick Rubin, and all the the gatekeepers, Ice Cube, and all these other people that enforce and pay our children, you know, to drop it like it's hot and all this type of shit, all this perverted sexual behavior, Nas X, you know, tongue kissing men on Source Awards and all that. Our babies watch this shit, you know, and you know, and just like we did when we were little, we looked up to people on television too, and this is all they have to look at, and so you know, and it goes back, and then it's reinforced by the public food system. This is why the bookstore actually needs to be the school. The black bookstore is actually the halls of education, because when you go back and dealing with ancient Kemet, you know, in the University of I forgot
Alexandra.
Yeah, yeah. And that was the school of learning. Those were schools of learning because it dealt with strictly us and it reinforced our greatness. And so if when we have our children, unfortunately, in the public school system, which is the same as the prison system, because it goes hand in hand. The principal is the warden, the teachers are the correctional officers. They have the same type of school lunch trays. They wear uniforms. They have detention after school, you know, and they're graded based on their behavior. And so that's like good time in prison. You know, if you don't get sent to the office, you turn in all your homework, then you're able to move up. You're getting closer to completing to go to another level, that halfway house. All of it runs in sync. And we have, and I look at us as a people from the late 80s through the 90s that we've allowed and we've gotten comfortable and complacent in pushing our children through these various systems. And for those who have children in these systems, unfortunately, most of the people in the hood can't help it but to do that. This is why these bookstores are important. The bookstore should be the after school program. The
So
bookstore should be the field trip. You know what I'm saying? The bookstore should be an allowance time. Okay, pick what book you want. Who's your favorite hero or shero? You know, this is your gift. You know, and our babies don't know the greatness, how great we are. That we're the original people of the planet. We brought everything to this motherfucker.
hello,
Everything. You
hello.
know what I mean? The cell phone. Our babies don't know about the cell phone and goddamn internet and all this land, how to cultivate land, and how we civilized some uncivilized people, and we'd invented everything from peanut butter to shoes and automobiles and all that. And
To the
they don't
dormouse.
know that. They don't know that. So this is why the media
Told
pushes
them
this
how to
shit.
wash their ass. Taught these Koreans how to freaking cook fried chicken. Now they're in our hoods making millions of dollars off of us and not giving back to us.
Slapjack, that's the pancake.
You know what I mean? Like, woo.
The first automobile, really, that was made out of wood by Lanes. They don't know that.
Yeah, I mean, the first plane, all of this stuff, man.
Yeah,
You have to tell them, you know, ain't no crackers been to no moon or none of that bullshit, man. Nobody's broken no firmament, you know. But they look at us, you know, just like during the crack Holocaust. You know, that was a Holocaust, man, that wiped us out. Because every time the revolutionary spirit rises in the black community, they'll come up with some type of agenda or something to diminish it. They did it in the 60s with the heroin. During the 60s, you know, when the Panthers was on the rise, they strung everybody out. You know, during the 70s and the 80s, when hip hop was, where everybody was talking black and ladies first and all this. And they seen that rise, Public Enemy, X-Clan, and all of them were coming up. They had to come up with something to do to wipe us out. So they came up and made AIDS. They made crack cocaine, white black men completely out of the homes, and then they were able to manipulate the children. They were able to manipulate the mothers. You know what I'm saying? And so we on the rebound from that. But what pisses me off is that, the older brothers, who are I say 80% are not no goddamn examples to our young people, and in no form. In no form. They sit around and come home and they fucking glorify prison to these children to make them eager and making them think that that's their rites of passage of manhood by going in these fucking penitentiaries and these slave camps and subject themselves to beatings by correctional officers, rapings and stabbings. That's some tough shit, And I always say I've done a lot of time, but I always say I didn't know how to do wrong right. Because don't know if you tough, you don't get caught. You don't get caught. And so when they start talking about how much time they did, I did 100 years, man, you was a stupid motherfucker. For real. So and nobody's not really telling the honest truth. And we glorify this, such and such. He knocked out everything on the unit. He stabbed, he ain't go for shit. And then you come out here and your ass won't even work at Walmart, but you work in the fucking prison kitchen for 12 cents an hour for 25 goddamn years. But you won't work out here for $20 an hour.
That is the
so that's the gospel. Yes, ma'am. Because and myself, Brother Gerald, and Knowledge and Kim, we done dealt with so many individuals that need to have a detoxing period, especially those who coming home. Sometimes giving somebody an automobile and a job may not be healthy enough because too much, too soon, too bad. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So people have to be, it's just like being in a war. When you come out of combat, you got to be debriefed. You have to be debriefed, man. You got to have some psychiatric counseling, some psychological counseling, man, because you've been on a plantation. You've been on a slave ship. So it has to be a form. That's part of rehabilitation. Not just coming home and everybody just lay everything out for you. And then this is why the recidivism rate is where it is today. And so, Sister Tia made a lot of sense, pinpointing out how imperative this bookstore is, man. Sometimes we've been blessed to be placed in charge in leadership positions, and sometimes we don't know the deep magnitude of how important it is to a lot of people. There are a lot of people that don't know about that bookstore. That because there's only 2 bookstores that I know in Baltimore. That's Everyone's Place and Tears that I will go to. All the rest of that shit to me is bullshit.
And let me tell you this. Out of the stuff that I've been dealing with, only Everyone's Place in Baltimore Reading Loud, who owns it, is a black woman, have stood solidarity with me in the state of Maryland. Mm. And that's important to know. Mm-hmm. And I got 2 bookstores on my block. And they have not called, checked, stood with me, did that community walk with me, did any of that. And when people ask me, I tell them the goddamn truth. Because if you think I'm a lie for you, you got me messed up.
Correct.
I'm not lying for no white person. I'm barely lying for a black person. If you're not showing me loyalty and standing with me saying, yo, sis, I got you. I'm going to send you the same way you were sending me. And it's Black bookstores all over this country who have been reaching out to me, going through this same thing. Loyalty Books in DC got got Nazis showing up to their store. And they Black owned. Like they are feeling emboldened.
So, let me ask you a question. Why Nazis showing up to Black bookstores? Now you go look up Black Panther, you get the TV show with Chad, you know, Black. You have to put in the Black Panther Party for anything about Black Panther to come up. I get that, but I mean, for like white supremacists showing up at the Black bookstores, I really don't get that because I mean,
why not?
That's because it's not even.
That's in their caliber though.
Mm-hmm.
They are obsessed with us. They love to fuck with us. They like to intimidate and shut down. And history is definitely showing, not with me. They may be fucking with me, but history, they have shown up to our spaces to kill, burn it down, threaten, run us out, run us away. And what have we done? We did just that.
Right. They've been sent there. These people are sent there by high authority. Now, I'm going to give you an example, Knowledge. In the public school system, what books you think they will allow the children to read? Message to the Black Man or My Two Dads?
That's easy because you know the public school system is based for the corporation of the United States of America. So their whole thing with that is to make everyone a worker. The highest education in this public school system make you a factory worker, a warehouse worker. So that's pretty much it.
And that's sixth grade or less.
Yeah, that's sixth grade or less. Go ahead, you guys, give your final thoughts before we end the show.
Have a dope day on purpose.
Go ahead, Sister Tia. What you say?
Have a dope day on purpose.
Come on, brother. Come on, brother John. I like Sister Tia. She live.
I do. I like her too. Hey, Sister Tia, I appreciate the conversation we had tonight, sister, and that you joined this segment of Vocal Dialect. You were really intriguing in every way. Continue doing what you're doing. If I was up running around, sister, because I sit in a wheelchair, if I was up running around, I'd be at your store. It wouldn't take me much. It wouldn't take me much to get on Amtrak to get up to Baltimore with no problem. but keep, as I said, keep doing what you're doing. Keep the kids intrigued. Let the parents that you said from the beginning keep them from bombarding the children with what they think the children should read. Let them be intrigued, because if they intrigued with that, they're gonna be intrigued with other things.
Yeah.
And that's the way that you manifest the growth. That's the way you become diligent, and prosperity will come along. So please keep doing what you're doing, sister.
I appreciate it. And we're gonna come to you. I'm gonna come to you.
Okay, I'll share you, sister.
Go ahead, brother Shaka.
Gerald, he'll be coming up there. He travels with us, and he knows that he'll be up at the bookstore, because it's important that we be there to support you. And you bring fire to light. And you have to just remember, like I was telling you, them threats. I've dealt with them for years. You got to wear them threats as a badge of honor. That just lets you know that you fall in the energy of your ancestors, and the ancestors are just giving you a glimpse of what they had to go through, and they put it in you, to wear as a badge of honor, because that lets you know that you walking in the path of righteousness That's, you know, and so you got to be able to have thick skin when you know you're going against the grain, when you're penetrating the walls of evil. You know, it's not no cakewalk. You know, these people are not gonna let us just do us, and it's gonna be all said and done, because if our rise is their demise, and they're fully aware of that, and that's why they've been putting in so much work to keep us oppressed, depressed, and suppressed. So as long as you understand that, you're clear on that, you know, and knowing that as the momentum grows, as the momentum builds, you know, you got more and more people. You're gonna meet a whole bunch of solid people just gonna walk with you, not behind you, not in front of you, but with you. And we appreciate
I
you.
tell these mothballs all the time. I said, I can't wait for Carmen to slap. I can't wait. And I'm gonna be alive to see it, because they time is definitely running out. That's what this immigration shit is about. Because Latinos took the second spot. We are now third. They don't want these Latinos getting that power. They don't want us getting that power. They fear. That's what White Fragility book is about. That's what Roland Martin's book, White Fear, is about. All of this stuff is about them being scared and fearful of losing power. But they're going to have to take this, you know what, in the ass, because they ain't going to have no choice. They're going to get buck broke. And that's what's about to happen. And I can't wait.
Yeah, the Latinos, you know, they catching on too, because they just came over here and cut grass and all this type of shit, and you know, and worked at all these fast food restaurants, and now they getting sent back. So when they understand that they come from us also, it's really gonna be hell to pay.
Yeah, because they uphold white supremacy, and I found that out when I started going to LA, and I started seeing how shit work over there. I said, oh, they really think they white.
Yeah,
oh,
they do. You got three different groups. You got one that has the old Hispanic history. You got the ones who think they white, and you have the ones who's kind of like right up under the old Hispanic history, but they, you know, just trying to make it or whatever. But we thank everybody in the chat. We thank everybody for checking us out. Vocal Dialect. Our brother Shaka Sankofa. You guys check him out on Facebook. He will be live tomorrow. You guys make sure y'all tune in on Facebook to Shaka Sankofa. Check him out. Good brother. And we love everybody. You know, we thank you guys for tuning in and everything. What time you coming on tomorrow, Shaka? Is it tomorrow or Friday?
Tomorrow, 8:30, live and uncensored, as always.
Can I tell y'all how to follow me?
Go ahead,
sure.
sister. Yeah, go ahead. Drop it.
Y'all can support Urban Reach Bookstore at urbanreachbookstore.com. I got all kind of donation links up. One directly I would love for y'all to support is the donation link that takes you to helping me send these books into the prison system. Support me with that donation. You can support me, follow me on social media. I'm not on Twitter. I can't do it. And I'm almost off of Instagram and Facebook because I can't stand Meta. They are shadow banding me. So you have to type it all out, including Bookstore, Urban Reads Bookstore. You have to type it out. Yeah. And come to my bookstore. I'm open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 12 to 8.
All right, y'all. There it is. Hey, we thank everybody for tuning in. We see you guys next time.